Big topic of conversation is the Reserve Bank's first interest rate meeting of the year. Next Tuesday, economists are predicting the economy is strong enough to prevent a rate cut. Joining me now is Chief Economist of REA Group, Nerida Conisbee. Nerida, you're here every week. We talk about rates. Will they be cut on Tuesday?
At this stage, I doubt it. I think that we are seeing a number of positive economic indicators. We saw some decent retail trade figures in November. It's probably a one-off, but we don't know until Thursday whether it is a one-off or not. We had some better building approvals, but most particularly, we did see some very good jobs numbers coming through, which will probably mean that they will remain on hold.
Now, economic data continues to be mixed, but on the property front, properties continue to rise.
Yeah, the property values are continuing to rise, and I guess that's one of the impacts of very, very low rates. So I think the RBA would be looking at that quite closely. On one hand, you do cut rates to stimulate economic growth, but if all it leads to is rising prices for housing, it's not really the right impact or the only impact that you want.
What about the coronavirus and its impact on world markets?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting one. I mean, it is very early in terms of what's going to happen to economic growth. If we have a look at what happened to when SARS was a problem across Asia early this century, we did see a big shutdown to economic growth in China. So it's likely to have a similar impact. It's been interesting looking at the US-China trade war that overall it did have an impact of slowing the Chinese economy, but didn't really shut it down. But if we have a look at these really big health events, they can have a very negative impact.
And of course, we're less than 40 minutes away from Brexit. It's been long and protracted, but we're finally here. What about the impact of the pound?
Yeah, so UK has been in a lot of turmoil for quite some time because Brexit hasn't been resolved. So it is good news that it is being resolved. The longer term impacts, though, are a little bit uncertain. I mean, we do know that migration does lead to economic growth. If there is a continued shutdown in migration, it's a problem. The links between Europe and the UK in terms of a trading partnership are significant. So things like London being a financial hub could be threatened. We may start to see more and more financial services firms move to other parts of Europe. So at this stage, good news, it's resolved. But longer term, we'll probably have a little bit of lead to a bit of a slowing in the UK economy.
We did speak to the boss of the British Chamber of Commerce, David McCready, here on the show a little earlier, and he was very positive, upbeat about the whole idea of the trade deals that can be now put in place between Australia and Britain.
Yeah, they're not a big trading partner of ours, the UK. I mean, we do have very strong cultural links between the UK and Australia, but I think they're ranked 7th in terms of importance to us. I mean, if you look at how much we're getting out of trade with China and also the US, I mean, they eclipse what's happening in the UK. But definitely there would be some trade deals done. I mean, there may even be some migration deals done as well, student visas, those sorts of things. So it looks like the UK are very keen to continue to build on the trade relationship between the UK and Australia, so that's obviously positive for us.
All right, it is Saturday, people out there selling and buying. What about auctions?
Yeah, so we've got about 150 auctions taking place in Melbourne and Sydney, a few others, about a couple hundred elsewhere in Australia. It is looking like a big auction weekend. We do continue to see very, very high levels of search activity on realestate.com.au. We're also seeing a lot of pre-approvals. Our Smartline brokerage business is seeing a lot of pre-approvals taking place, but not converting to actual loans. So there's this build-up in activity, a build-up of people that are cashed up, ready to buy. We're still seeing very low volumes of not just auctions, but also listings as well.
All right, Nerida, have a great weekend.
Thanks.